Good morning everyone and welcome to Bristol. It's a bit hectic, it's first thing in the morning, but I'm down here. Weather forecast, it's set to tip it down with rain all day. So I thought I'd come down just because it wasn't raining so I could set up. So I'm a little bit earlier than I would normally be down here. This is like one of my usual haunts. This is the closest point for me to go fishing to my house. Oh, so if I need to beat a hasty retreat later on to get back, if it really starts hammering down, it's just a quick pack up and I run up the hill. Well, I say I run up the hill, I don't run anywhere. Anyway, I'm on the Bristol Feeder Canal today. This large basin here, as you can see behind me, is the Totterdown Basin on the Bristol Feeder Canal, or as it's more lovingly known amongst the, well, certainly the angling community. I don't know about the Bristol community itself. Cattle Market Corner, because it's on Cattle Market Road. The Feeder Canal, as I say, is the nearest place to me where I live, and it's packed full of fish. However, I've fished here a lot and it can be a bit up and down, or it certainly can recently. The weather's been very up and down, really warm sort of days, and then days where it's been freezing cold, and it's just that sort of year. It's just going to be sort of hit and miss as to whether this is going to work today. However, there's a few fish bubbling around out there. As you see, a few sort of, well, they'll be dace probably, topping down a bit further, so I can probably cast down there. I've got a feeder rod with me, only a very light one. I've got some ground bait, I've got some leftover worms, and I've got some bread. Very, very simple. Mostly because, as I say, it's meant to tip down later on, and so it's unlikely I'm going to be spending more than, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours down here. The weather looks pretty clear at the minute. Well, I say clear, it's pretty gloomy up there. But it's not, there's no sort of really big, black, horrible clouds. As you can see, the Bristol community have decorated the landscape with plastic cups and carrier bags for me. Some of which, I won't be able to take all of it, some of which I will clear up. There is literally Bristol. Look, I'm just going to say Bristol community. If you're walking down the Feeder Canal, just take a moment. If you're walking down the Feeder Canal, on the railings, there's these carrier bags which the council put there, or somebody puts there at least. That's where you put your rubbish, yeah? Okay, it's not there, and it's not there, down there, it's not there, it's in the bags. Come on guys, keep your community clean. Anyway, there's bound to be a few shopping trolleys in here as well, so I'm going to try and avoid them. Yeah, there's the Bristol skyline behind me. It's not exactly the most beautiful country setting along a nice winding river with trees and wildlife everywhere. But if you sit still enough and you're quiet enough, you can see the trees and wildlife. There's ducks and swans and cormorants and geese and all sorts of things flying around here and moving around in the water. So you never know. Anyway, it's nice to have a bit of a change anyway, a bit of an urban setting. Enough of me rambling on anyway. I'm going to set up my feeder rod. I've got some ground bait I'll mix up and settle down into a likely spot and wait for the rain. Oh no, wait for the fish. Oh, we're ready anyway. I've just set my rod up. It's all ready to go. I've put some ground bait in. Just letting it sit for a little bit, just to soak up some of that water. And then I should do my first cast. It's a bit difficult to set you up here. I've kind of got you on the stick but it's very likely to fall that way, which is into the water. So I'm just going to have to hold it. I fished here many times, but I think I've only actually filmed here once before. So I wonder how I did it then. I don't think I even had a stand then, or did I? Yeah, I think I did. It was an old one. Perhaps it was a better one. This is just a lightweight stand to hold you on, and it's very, very, if there's a slight breeze, you're gone. Actually, I think back then it might have been a similar situation. Oh dear. I was relatively new to the videoing game then, and if I remember rightly, and you can look back, I had absolutely no idea how to flip the image around, so most of the things which are here are back to front. In fact, when I went fishing down, there's a video of me fishing down at the Totterdown Basin in the Bristol harbour, and you can clearly see that all the lorries going past with writing on is all back to front. But never mind, you always got the gist back then, and I'm much better at working this now and figuring out how to edit properly. Well, I'm still learning. I'm still not very good at editing, as you'll be quite aware of. But I'm self-taught. No one's ever taught me how to do it, so I've just had to learn along the way. Anyway, as I say, I'm set up. No rain yet, so there's nothing for it really. And to do my first cast, well, first several casts. I'm not going to put a hook length on yet. I'm just going to fill the feeder up, which is over there, with some ground bait. Do, I don't know, 5 or 6 casts just to get a little bit of bait out there in the right area, get a feel of where I want to cast. Then I'll stick a nice juicy worm on, set it flying out, and see what we get. Could be anything in Bristol. Could be Tesco bags, Sainsbury's bags, shopping trolleys, traffic cones, an arm. You never know. No, fish wise, there's all sorts in here. Bream and roach and dace and perch and what else have we got? All sorts. I can't remember what else. Oh, carp. I hooked into a carp further down on another video, which I never landed. I had like really light line on. There's some nice carp in here. Some rough. I'm hoping for some rough today. I haven't caught one of them in quite a long time. So actually, secretly, I'd really love a little rough. But yeah. Anyway, you never know until you cast out, do you? So let's do just that. Oh, actually, I'd like to apologise to any viewers who suffer with anatidaphobia, which is, of course, the fear that somewhere a duck is watching you. Well, it's been about an hour and still no fish, which is sometimes just typical of a canal or any sort of fishing really. If I'm honest, normally I'd have caught a few fish by now. As I say, I come down here quite a lot, don't always film it, just because I like to have a bit of me time sometimes without all the filming. Some days it's good, some days it's not so good. But that's fishing. That is fishing. The rain has started up now. If it stays like this, I'll be pretty happy. But I have a feeling it'll get heavier. Got a lot of ducks joining me. We're throwing out a lot of ground bait. So they're picking up all the little bits which are floating on the surface. Bit of Bristol wildlife. Anyway, it's really nice. And despite, you know, the traffic and the people and the rowers and the urban setting, it's actually pretty peaceful. Whenever you're near water and just chilling out, it's always peaceful. And the act of angling, the art of angling, brings about peace anyway, because it's just you watching the rod tip for those little telltale twitches of fish feeding, and that's about it. Nothing else in the world, no stress, no worries. Yeah, it's still pretty peaceful. The whole point of feeder fishing, of course, is to keep casting out fairly regularly, and probably casting out every 8 to 10 minutes, something like that. Reeling in, bites or no, filling up the feeder with a bit of ground bait, checking the worm's okay and still on there, because I've reeled it in, it hasn't been on there a couple of times. One of the joys of using a barbless hook with a worm, they tend to wriggle around quite a lot and come off the hook. But never mind. You're not likely to catch fish straight away, because the whole idea is to keep casting out, getting a nice big bed of ground bait out there to draw in the fish. It's the long game is what you're playing. Of course, there is every chance you might just cast out and bam, the fish are there. But sometimes you've got to put the work in and bring the fish to you. It's exactly what I'm doing. Noise. Problem with filming in a more urbanised area. Anyway, I've had another missed bite. What am I actually using? God, noise, isn't it? Go, go, go. What am I using? Well, I've got a feeder that's running along the line. Yep. I've got a little quorum stop, which I really love to use. Really, really good. You can change your hook links really, really quickly. It's actually a 4-pound line, and on the business end I've got 3, just a little bit heavy really, but I've run out of 2. Actually, it's not 3, it's 2.5. On the hook, got worms. Well, I've got one worm. I've just broken it in half and popped it on there. I was using a whole worm, just pinching the tip off, but I think the fish are just plucking at it and not actually taking the bait. So I've broken the worm in half and just popped onto the hook. I've still got the bait on from this run, so I shall leave it on. Grab hold of the feeder, and I'm just using this wormy ground bait to load it up, like so. Very nice. Then it's just a little gentle cast out into the middle. Plop amongst the ducks who initially run away from it and then think, oh, food, and in they come. I wind down to get the just put the rod tip under the water, wind down to get the line under the water, especially with this boat traffic going along. You don't want anyone ploughing into the line. You're just leaving it for, well, I don't know, 30 seconds, something like that. And the idea of that is, as the ground bait feeder hits the bottom, it explodes with all the ground bait, which is all over my fingers, just scatters the bottom, just give it time to fall out. And of course you've got the hook length, which I roughly know the length of. Then when you think, oh yeah, that's probably all come out of the feeder by now, you just give the rod a little pull about the length of the feeder. And the idea of that is, when the feeder moves along, your bait's over here, and when the feeder moves along, it lands in the bit where the baits come out. That's the basics of feeder fishing, and that's exactly what I'm doing. I don't like anything too confusing or complicated when I'm fishing. A lot of people go for all sorts of different rigs and setups, particularly with their carp fishing. But I like it as simple as possible. Good things do come to those who bait, they say. And there we are, finally. Nice little skimmer bream. Just to brighten up the day with its beautiful silvery flanks. Lovely, love the bit of worm. A classic canal species, the bream. Always important to keep the net underneath you if you're doing something like this. And that way the fish is perfectly safe if it does a little jump. Yeah, lovely, nice little skimmer. Let's hope there's a few more out there, shall we, before I end up giving up with all this rain. Anyway, let's pop you back. Oh, the rain's really kicking in now. Classic. Just as the fish start biting, the camera's going to get covered in rain. You're not going to be able to see me. Never mind. Oh, the fish are starting to twitch around now. Strike that, see what we got. Anything there? I think there is. Oh, nothing big. What have we got here? Be a bit blasé and lift this one in. There we go. Ooh, 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 ooh. Calm down, calm down. Got ourselves a little bit of damage from something, perhaps a cormorant. A classic roach. Look at that. Beautiful. A bit feisty. Taking the hook down a bit. I've got my disgorger. Let's just get that out of there. Ugh. Right, 2 and 8. You take that down pretty far. I struck that pretty quick. There we go. Oh, lovely. Whee, off you go. Off you go. Oh, as he fell into the water then, he spat out a load of ground bait. So it shows the ground bait's working at least. Ah, right. Here we go. That whole morning of feeding up that swim is finally paying off. That just shows persistence and patience is definitely the way with feeder fishing. Anyway, it's no good we sat here with a bare hook. Let's get some worms on there and get them back out for some other fish. See what else is out there. There we go. Out goes another one. Another parcel of ground bait. And a few tasty worms. Tighten that a bit. So, why do anglers bother going out in the pouring rain? Actually, I do wonder that sometimes. There's lots of lovely sunny days. Why don't we go out then? Well, a lot of it is down to timing. I mean, for myself, speaking for myself, I work Monday to Friday, and so weekends are the only time I get to go fishing. And there's only so many weekends you can put off because of the rain before you need to go fishing. And so sometimes you just got to go out, get soaked, embrace it. I've got this, I'm just wobbling it around. I've got this waterproof jacket and trousers, so actually I'm as dry as a bone in here, apart from my hands. And extremely warm. This is very, very thermal, this suit. So it feels just like a nice spring day, really. I wouldn't go as far as summer, but a nice spring day, temperature-wise anyway. So I'm not cold. They say, of course, there's no such thing as cold weather. but the wrong clothing, and that's very, very true. If you get the right clothing, you can have the most enjoyable day, even in the most cold, freezing weather. Do fish bite better in the rain? Do you know, they probably do. But I think it's more to do with the weather being overcast. I'm not sure if it's the rain itself. I'm sure there are some fish scientists out there who have studied it more heavily than me. But fish do like an overcast sort of day. They seem to be a little bit less sort of scared. I think on a nice bright day the predators can see them, and they're a bit more wary. But on an overcast day, particularly things like bream, they certainly feel a bit more confident. The fish are a lot better. So if you're ever going for bream, or even things like roach for that matter, an overcast day is the best day. And sadly, sometimes overcast means rain. But more often than not, in Britain, it means rain. And that's another reason for going out fishing in the rain, is of course, I live in the west of England, and it rains pretty much all the time. England's a pretty rainy place. Great Britain's a pretty rainy place. And you've just got to suck it up sometimes. Otherwise you'd never go fishing. Particularly during the autumn and winter and spring. You'd struggle to get out. Anyway, the ducks are enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. So why not? You know, despite it being an urban built-up area, there's still wildlife to be found. There's the ducks and the swans, the geese, the gulls, pigeons, crows, magpies, and a little baby mouse apparently. So it's all here. It's all here. It may be an urban setting, but there's still joy and delight to be found in the wildlife that lives in this environment and shares it alongside us. Oh, there he is again. You gonna take it? You gonna take the little worm? Oh, tip's going ding ding ding. Go on. You know you want it. Nah. He considered it. Maybe he'll think about it and come back. No? Nah. Oh, had a little bit of an instant just now. Well, not really an instant. But I just lifted the rod up to reel in to put some more ground bait into the feeder, and literally just as I did it, a kingfisher shot past, literally just right here, right in front of me, and I just caught him on the wing. I don't know who was more surprised, him or me, but he's fine. He's absolutely fine. He did a little loop, and he's gone back over in the trees over there to salt. I've been watching him around the corner. Can't quite get a video of him. He's sort of tucked in amongst all the trees and branches. But yeah, just shows how close to nature you can get, even in the middle of Bristol. What with a little mouse earlier on, and there's been a heron just flying back and forth, which I again haven't managed to get a video of, mostly because I can't see this side. He's probably been sat there the whole time, but I can't see behind this boarding here. Never mind. But yeah, there's loads and loads of nature and wildlife in Bristol. It doesn't have to be out in the middle of the countryside. Sometimes it can be right in the middle of a city. Where I live, actually, there's several foxes, urban foxes, which come round, and even a badger, which I helped cross the road the other day. Actually, he was struggling. He was worried about crossing the road, so I sort of pushed him across the road a bit, not physically, just kind of at a distance, just in case he decided to maul me. But yeah, loads of wildlife about. Anyway, I was just considering, because the fishing has really slowed down, I suspect because I've caught a few fish and I've put them back, I might have swum out to the shoal and spooked them a little bit. But I was considering going home. It's nearly lunchtime, and on the sly, just before I head out this morning, I got out some sausages from the freezer, and they're on the side just defrosting. So I know when I get back, sausage sandwiches on the cards. And I'm starting to really think a sausage sandwich is exactly what I need right now. The more you think of it, you know. But I suppose the real question is whether to have ketchup with it or brown sauce, and that's what's been going through my mind. But I suppose really there is only one answer. What would your answer be, incidentally? Ketchup or brown sauce on a sausage sandwich? Well, there is only one answer, isn't there? Of course, you have two sandwiches, one with ketchup and one with brown sauce, because two sandwiches is always better than one. Anyway, I'm going to give it another half an hour or so. I've still got a bit of bait to chuck in. And then, oh God, sausage sandwich all the way. That fish never took the blimmin' bait, did he? I suppose there's only one more thing. Keep an eye out for kingfishers. Bring the rod in and put some more bait in it. Unless there's something on the end here. No. Might be a little tiddly widdly fish on there. Oh, we did have something. My word, guys, look at this. A leaf. There we go. A slightly bigger bream. Lovely. A classic feeder canal common bream. Look at that. Shining on this dreary, rainy day. Cheering up an old angler like me. Perfect. Oh, blimey. Being sat down all morning on that chair, but comfortable as it is. God, it's good to have a bit of a stretch. Well, that's me for the day, guys. I'm going to head back home for that lovely sausage sandwich. It's been hard going here on the canal today. Normally it's a bit more frantic, there's a few more fish around, but the weather's been a bit weird and the fishing's been a bit weird, and the whole day's been a bit weird really. And there's been loads and loads of wildlife here, as I've been saying throughout the video. Just because you're in the middle of Bristol city centre doesn't mean there isn't wildlife everywhere. The seagulls and even the pigeons, heron, there's been a kingfisher, there's been a little teeny tiny mice, and of course, the ducks. Loads of ducks. But never forget, It's us anglers who really get the true pleasure to see all of Bristol wildlife in its entirety, and that is with the fish that live under the water. Most of Bristol residents, they walk past every day, they have no idea of it, moments away from the huge variety of wildlife that live underneath its surface. And we, us very privileged anglers, get to catch them with a little worm on the end of a line on a rainy, dreary morning. Pretty good, eh? Pretty good. Anyway, I'm going to pack up all my gear. I've got my net with me. Now, that's the first thing that's going to be picked up. That's been sat next to my bag all day long. I'm just going to go round. There's a bit too much litter here, really, for me to get all of it. So I'm going to pick up a bit of litter, put it in that bag at the top, which all Bristol residents should be doing, of course. There's been a little green bottle just floating in the water, just in the swim here, which I've been dying to get hold of all day long, chuck in that bag. But actually, the wind has blown it all the way down the feeder canal now. I can just barely see it going underneath the bridge. Oh, and there goes the kingfisher again. He's all right. Oh, and again. Anyway, lovely day. Not as frantic as I'd have liked, but you know, a gloomy day like today, but it's fantastic fish. Have really cheered me up, put a smile on my face. Anyway, like this video if you've liked it, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys next time on the bank. Maybe not stood next to a terrifying duck. Bye!